The second part. And upon the decisive evidence obtained by the prefect that it was not hidden within the limits of that dignitary's ordinary search, the more satisfied I became that, to conceal this letter, the minister had resorted to the comprehensive and sagacious expedient of not attempting to conceal it at all. Full of these ideas, I prepared myself with a pair of green spectacles and called one fine morning, quite by accident, at the ministerial hotel. I found Darcy at home, yawning, laundering, and dawdling, as usual, and pretending to be in the last extremity of ennui. He is perhaps the most really energetic human being now alive, but that is only when nobody see him. To be even with him, I complained of my weak eyes and lamented the necessity of the spectacles. You know, spectacles, you wear spectacles, particularly if you are short-sighted. Under cover of which I cautiously and thoroughly surveyed the apartment while seemingly intent only upon the conversation of my host. I paid special attention to a large writing table near which he sat, and upon which lay confusedly some miscellaneous letters and other papers with one or two musical instruments and a few books. Here, however, after long and very deliberate scrutiny, I saw nothing to excite particular suspicion. At length, my eyes, in going the circuit of the room, fell upon a trumpery filigree card rack of pasteboard that hung dangling by a dirty blue ribbon from a little brass knob just beneath the middle of the mantelpiece. In this rack, which had 3 or 4 compartments, were 5 or 6 visiting cards and a solitary letter. This last was much soiled and crumpled. It was torn nearly in two, across the middle, as if a design, in the first instance, to tear it entirely up as worthless had been altered or stayed in the second. It had a large black seal bearing the Darcy cipher very conspicuously and was addressed in the diminutive female end to Darcy, the minister himself. It was thrust carelessly and even, as it seemed, contemptuously into one of the upper division of the rack. No sooner had I glanced at this letter that I concluded it to be that of which I was in search. To be sure, it was to all appearance radically different from the one of which the prefect had read us so minute a description. Here the seal was large and black, with a Darcy cipher. There it was small and red, with the ducal arms of the sovereign family. Here, the address of the minister was diminutive and feminine. There, the superscription to a certain royal personage was markedly bold and decided. The size alone formed a point of correspondence. But then, the radicalness of these differences, which was excessive, the dirt, the soiled and torn condition of the paper, so inconsistent with the true methodical habits of Darcy, and so suggestive of a design to delude the beholder into an idea of worthlessness of a document. These things, together with the hypertrusive situation of this document, full in the view of every visitor, and thus exactly in accordance with the conclusions to which I had previously arrived, these things, I say, were strongly corroborative of suspicions in one who came with the intention to suspect. I protracted my visit as long as possible, and while I maintained a most animated discussion with the minister on a topic which I knew, while had never failed to interest and excited him, I kept my attention really riveted upon the letter. In this examination, I committed to memory its external appearance and arrangement in the rack, and also fell at length upon a discovery which set at rest whatever trivial doubt I might have entertained. In scrutinizing the edges of the paper, I observed them to be more chafed than seemed necessary. They presented the broken appearance which is manifested with the folder, is refolded in a reverse direction, in the same creases or edges which had formed the original fold. This discovery was sufficient. It was clear to me that the letter had been turned as a glove inside out, redirected and resealed. I bade the minister good morning and took my departure at once, leaving a gold snuff box upon the table. The next morning I called for the snuff box. When we resumed quite eagerly the conversation of the preceding day, while thus engaged, however, a loud report, as if of a pistol, was heard immediately beneath the windows of the hotel, and was succeeded by a series of fearful screams and the shouting of a mob. Darcy rushed to a casement, threw it open, and looked out. In the meantime, I stepped to the card rack, took the letter, put it in my pocket, and replaced it by a facsimile, so far as regards external, which I had carefully prepared in my lodging, imitating the Darcy cipher very readily by means of a seal formed of a bread. The disturbance in the street had been occasioned by the frantic behavior of a man with a musket. He had fired it among a crowd of women and children. It proved, however, to have been without bow. And the fellow was suffered to go his way as lunatic and drunkard. When he had gone, Darcy came from the window, whither I had followed him immediately upon securing the object in view. Soon afterwards I bade him farewell. The pretended lunatic was a man of my own pay. But what purpose had you? I asked, replacing the letter by a facsimile. Would it not have been better at first visit to have seized it openly and departed? Darcy, replied Dupin, is a desperate man, and a man of nerve. His hotel, too, is not without attendants devoted to his interest. Had I made the wild attempt you suggest, I might never have left the ministerial presence alive. The good people of Paris might have heard of me no more. But I had an object apart from these considerations. You know my political propositions. In this matter, I act as a partisan of the lady concerned. For 18 months, the minister has had her in his power. She has now him in hers. Since being unaware that the letter is not in his possession, he will proceed with his exactions as if it was. Thus will he inevitably commit himself at once to his political destruction. His downfall, too, will not be more precipitate than awkward. It is all very well to talk about the facilis descensus avenue, but in all kinds of climbing, as Catalani said of singing, it is far more easy to get up than to come down. In the present instance, I have no sympathy, at least no pity, for him who descends is the monstrum horrendum and unprincipled man of genius. I confess, however, that I should like very well to know the precise character of his thoughts, when being defied by her whom the prefect terms a certain personage is reduced to opening the letter which I felt for him in the card rack. How did you put anything particular in it? Why it did not seem altogether right to leave the interior blank, that could have been insulting. Darcy, at Vienna once, did me an evil turn, which I told him, quite good humouredly, that I should remember. So, as I knew he would feel some curiosity in regard to the identity of the person who had outwitted him, I thought it a pity not to give him a clue. He is well acquainted with my MS, and I just copied into the middle of the blank sheet the words "Andesen si funest sil nest digne d'atri est digne de tiest." They are to be found in Crebillon's Atri. There is a note in the page to explain this sentence. Also in the vocabulary you can find more explanation